Hey, this is Fire Shield and Shelter here. We want to take a minute to talk about buffers and systems that we can put in place to protect our family. So let's get into it. Hey everyone, I want to talk a little bit today on systems and buffers. And having a buffer in place or several buffers and putting systems in place to be able to guard your family from power outages or grid down scenarios is a good thing. Most of what we consider a crisis usually stems from some kind of a grid down or that kind of a scenario, a power outage from a major weather system, whether that's an ice storm or hurricane or whatever that would be. So, I've put systems in place and buffers between me and panic, and that's kind of the concept. And I've tried to break it down and keep it organized in a way so that I can transition from easiest and simplest to possibly harder but necessary. So with that, I have a generator set up with gasoline, and I have probably, if I run it 4 to 6 hours a day, that generator can run my whole house, and I have enough gasoline to run at that rate for about 30 days. And so that keeps the whole house going. I could run the hot water heater, do laundry, do all the basic necessities that we need to do, plus some with that. And I also have a solar generator with battery backup, so that way I can back up my fridge and freezer at night. So fridge and freezer stays good until I empty it out, which is part of that buffer. And then phase 2 is you transition into your dry goods as your fridge and freezer empty out, but you still have those things to fall back on with the generator and the solar generator if necessary. So as you transition into those, then you have emergency food beyond just your dry goods on your pantry shelf. So you transition into those. So if I have enough food in my fridge and freezer, enough venison and vegetables and things like that, to where my family can eat for a couple of weeks or maybe even a month. And then we transition into dry goods where you have your beans and rice and dehydrated eggs and maybe dehydrated meat and those things where you transition in. I may have 4 to 6 months worth of that. And then you have emergency food put away. Like I have vacuum sealed emergency food, things that are sealed in dry buckets, and those are put away. And so I could probably go a year without having to worry about anything. But you transition. So the first is easy and it's simple. It's luxury. And then you move into the simpler, or you move away from the simpler to the harder. So this is kind of one of the things I was wanting to talk about was, bushcraft. A lot of people focus on bushcraft, and I love bushcraft. It's an important skill. Everybody should be able to start a fire with a bow drill. You should be able to start a primitive fire. You should be able to use a ferro rod. I had one of these out. But the reality is if I need to start a fire outside to cook, and it's like day 2 or day 3 of the power being out, I don't want to be out trying to start a fire if it's raining with a ferro rod or magnesium block when I could just grab a lighter and some lighter fluid and make my life simple. And I'm putting my focus on not trying to meet the basic needs, but I'm putting my focus on what's going on in the outside and why isn't the power coming back on. And then we can start to put plans in place to gather more later if we need to. This creates a huge buffer, having a little bit of ease and also having the skills to fall back on as we begin to diminish those things. So as your lighters run out, as your matches begin to run out, you have ferro rods, and then you can go to the bow drill or build a pump drill, whatever you got to do to start a primitive fire. So my point being is we have buffers in place and systems. And this is the way that I like to do it. I like to have those buffers so I'm not worried about what's going on with my supplies as much as I am worrying about what's going on with the power, what's happening outside in society. Were we attacked by an EMP? Are we under fire? What's happening outside? Did the storm take out the grid for the next 3 weeks or a month? Do we have to survive without power for however long? This is a point where you can decide if you need to help your neighbors or you guys can pull together. So you're not focusing on meeting your family's basic needs, having, a backup water source like a well or whatever that would be, water storage put away, and some of the basic needs that you can meet for your family, whether that's a 30-day food supply, whatever that plan looks like for you, those things need to be in place. I recommend going out and buying a generator for most people that live in areas that have storms like hurricanes and things, because that gives you a buffer. And so that's just something to think about, is having systems in place, building systems and creating buffers over time so your family's guarded and you create windows of opportunity to determine what's happening outside, what's taking place with the power, what's going on with this. What do I need to do next, so you're not worried about what I need to do now. So if you like that and that kind of speaks to you, I'd like to hear your comments. If you got anything to add to it or maybe a little controversy, let's hear it. Comment down below, and if you like this, hit the like, and we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. If this is the kind of thinking that speaks to you, hit subscribe. I'll be covering gear, prepping systems, homestead tactics, and off-grid survival. Don't get caught off guard. Let's get ready together.